Well, hey folks, it's your old pal King Waspinator. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. Hit like and subscribe if you so choose. Gonna talk a little bit about the campaign for 5th edition D&D that I seem to have up and running. It's set in Spelljammer on the Rock of Brawl, at least for the starting point. Only got 2 players, my wife and our roommate, so at least thankfully I know they're not going to flake off anywhere anytime soon. So hopefully I should be able to run this for a while. Got through the opening little mini adventure. Had enough experience to get them up to level 2. Basic premise is they're hired by the Illithid embassy to track down a vampire nest. Turns out that the vampire nest is actually a sequel to the Curse of Strahd adventure designed for first level characters, where we're assuming that the events of the Curse of Strahd adventure had been successful, and Strahd had been mostly destroyed. However, one of his Barovian witches managed to escape and get out of the domains of dread with a psychic portrait of Strahd using the Guardian portrait creature stats, as well as a vampiric mist as his essence. They tracked down this Celestian cult hospice on the edge of Giftown, where the vampires had decided they want to desecrate a religious site, kind of a vibe. Use hypnotism and psychic suggestion to bring the acolytes under their sway so that they'll do their bidding and all that kind of stuff. The first session, they pretty much were able to clear out the hospice and take down the Guardian portrait, although it did briefly throw a crown of madness onto the GIF, who almost killed my wife's character. So it was a nice little tense scene, but because of the damage and all that kind of stuff, they decided to get out of there. And then in the second session, they went around, found some fire-themed magic items, picked up a healer sidekick from the Celestian cult, and went back and basically just hit the mist as hard as they could, as fast as they could, and managed to vaporize the fucker. And so now, setting up for continuing adventures, I think what I'm going to do is, since I had some relative success when I ran the Essentials kit, I'm going to imitate it a little bit, and that, at least here at this next phase, I'm going to start them off. I'm going to give them a handful of different quests that they can choose from that will veer off in some radically different kind of directions. I'm going to have a couple of minor kind of objectives that tie into their background stories that won't advance those plots too long, but will at least kind of get the ball rolling on their background. The GIF has the Haunted One background. His younger brother had been kidnapped by an ogre mage who was the captain of a pirate ship. And so, his goal is to, figure out who this pirate is. And since some of the contacts they made while bouncing around in their first adventure, he's going to, have gotten a tip on who to talk to who's familiar with pirate crews, so he can at least get a name and a name of a ship, to help him further eventually find out where the hell his brother is and what sort of fate befell him. My wife's character is a human reborn, reborn being like the, revenant, mildly undead, mostly dead lineage from the Ravenloft book. Her concept is that she had been a noble long ago, and she had been found frozen, floating in space before the start of the game, and had been, the crew that found her, and she magically revived, and they drop her off on the Rock of Brawl because it was the nearest place to dump her off, and now she's pursuing a new life. The ambassador at the Illithid embassy is Mordenkainen's brain in a jar, which obviously there's going to be things to come to that, but because they ingratiated themselves well with their employers, even went back to report after everything was said and done, just to get some final answers and check things off. I'm going to have it that Mordenkainen, because he's also kind of living a weird second life where large parts of his original self is kind of gone in a more literal sense than with my wife's character. He's going to take a little sympathy on her and maybe try to help unlock some of her memories and stuff, and she will hopefully remember eventually that she's from the world of Kalikari before it got dragged into the domains of dread. My idea is that she might have been one of the only members of the royal family that did not betray Queen Ramnia. So we'll see how that goes. But the 3 quests, otherwise, the major quests, the things that actually will lead to proper adventures and not just, character development. Got one that basically, is going to be a adaptation of the Kobold Hall adventure out of the 4th edition Dungeon Master's Guide. One will lead into like some, the politics of the high society there on the Rock of Brawl, maybe a little light murder mystery kind of a thing. And the third one will veer off potentially into a much larger scale epic quest to travel out, way far away from the Rock of Brawl to other star systems in search of the world of Ravnica, because some dwarves are trying to get their hands on that magic metal that enhances magic that Ravnica has. And my idea is basically adapt Ravnica to be basically a city-covered moon. Haven't quite determined what star system to put it in yet, but have time to figure that out still. But want to be a little sandboxy. Give them some some radically different points of departure. Can lead to very different kind of campaigns and all that kind of stuff. Most of how it kind of came about, how these quests will be given to them, are kind of queued off of, after the first, adventure's done, listed out what major decision points they made, who they met, what rumors they've heard, how the different factions they've interacted with, might have had improved their reputation with, and all that kind of stuff. And just kind of try to determine what sort of consequences might lead out of those, and then taking that list of consequences, seeing how many of them have overlap, and then the ones that have the most amount of overlap, bundle them together, and then get a quest to base kind of around those combination of factors. And, I don't know, as a writing device, it seems to be working. We'll see sometime later this week after I finish out writing down notes for 3 different tiny mini adventures, see which one they choose, and go from there. But that's the plan so far. So if you're interested in following along and hearing more as time goes on, plus all my other wonderful and totally non-controversial topics that I talk about here on Total Party Skills, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Check the description box below for a link to my author page on Drive-Thru RPG. You can see what got over 20 different books I've written, multiple different games settings. I even have an OSR setting called Orc and Bone for D&D people. You can also find all those as print copies on Amazon. You just look them up by title, but on the Drive-Thru RPG you get the full list, so you can at least see what they are before you try to hunt them down on Amazon.com. In either case, until next time, stay out there.